Defense made a motion for a mistrial. Prosecutor was up to some fuckery. Potentially damaging evidence, no basis for it. The judge specifically said, do not ask that question. Do not use that as evidence. She walked right down the path and asked the question. It may be over on Tuesday morning. Batman Bruce Wayne bitch snitch. Gerald Brooks, your constitution does not apply to me because I'm a sovereign citizen, a traveler on the land. I'm the Moorish Empire or whatever, bitch snitch. Because they're so fucking absurd. If you want to be a sovereign citizen, just do yourself a favor first. Go to YouTube here and just get every sovereign citizen that's ever been before. Find me one that won. God dang, you're right. Don't go down this. It's not the path. Don't have time for stupidity. Some clever dick on the internet didn't find the great loophole in all of the world's law. Bitch snitch. God dang, you're right. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. God dang, you're right. Moorish Empire. Traveler on the land. Bitch snitch. Moorish Empire. God dang, you're right. Traveler on the land. Bitch snitch. Late evening U.S. people.
In the trial of Halyna Gutierrez Reed, all eyes turn to the courtroom as the case unfolds. Halyna Gutierrez Reed, the armorer on the set of the film Rust, faces charges related to the tragic shooting incident that took place during production. On October 21, 2021, a prop firearm discharged unexpectedly, resulting in the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and injury to director Joel Souza. The pretrial phase has been marked by intense scrutiny of Gutierrez Reed's handling of firearms and adherence to industry safety protocols. The incident has sparked widespread discussion and raised questions about safety measures on film sets, prompting calls for stricter regulations. As Gutierrez Reed prepares to face trial, the outcome remains uncertain, with the film industry watching closely for potential implications on set safety standards. For further developments in this high-profile trial, stay tuned on the Legal Vices channel as the case of Halyna Gutierrez Reed continues to unfold.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me. I'm here. Oh, and I just came off my other stream. The insane things that's happening in Florida in the What the Hales case. We've watched half of the first hearing in that. It's just nuts. It took us a while. It took us right to the very end, but the judge has officially lost his bearings. He's gone off the deep end. We're gonna be doing part 2 of that tomorrow. But right now we are here for the Halyna Gutierrez Reed trial. I'm so thrilled that so many of you followed me over. We got 384 people here already. Bless you guys. You could be doing anything right now, but if you're in the U.S., make sure at some point today you get out and vote. That's the thing you need to do. All righty, we've got 115 likes already, but we're still down like 300 and some odd. Well, no, like I guess 290. Lawyer math, 200 and fucking whatever it is. Almost 300. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please do that. I'm still rattled because that was a very quick turnaround for me, to go from the one stream to the other. But we are here. We are doing it. We're going to be catching up on the afternoon of day 8 of the Halyna Gutierrez trial. We're going to watch that at super high speed, and then we're going to catch up today with the live session, and then we'll watch it up to the lunch hour. So thank you for being here, everybody. I'll put up a like and subscribe poll when we start. I have to think of something at least moderately clever. Nothing is really in my brain right now, but I'll get it up there. I'll get it up there eventually. Thank you so much for being here. We've got our mods here. Thank you, mods, for being here. For some of you are doing double duty from the last stream. Rock on. We got the greatest chat. The Vice Squad is the greatest chat on the entire internet, and I'm glad you're all here. So let's get it going. As always, super chat's not required, not expected, but always graciously and gratefully accepted. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, you're parting with hard-earned money to support the channel or whatever. Yeah, I'm humbled by anything, and I mean, I'm even if you're not. Again, I said you could be doing anything right now, but you're here, you're watching this, you're chatting in chat. Can't thank you all enough for being here. While we're doing trials, we do trials a little bit differently. When the super cat chats come in, we flash them up on the screen so you know that they've been received. We let people read them, and then when there's a break in the proceedings, sidebars, bathroom breaks, lunch, whatever, we'll read them in a natural context. So again, the super chat's guaranteed to get read, responded to, and feel free to say just to say what's on your mind within reasons that you don't get me demonetized or deplatformed. Otherwise, we'll do our best to find out what's going on in chat here, and I'll try to follow along with chat as best I can, and pull up the ones that I think are particularly amusing, noteworthy, etc., etc. All right, let's get on with it. Enough of my rambling. Doggo cam, the pig dog cam is locked and loaded. That is opened up. We unlocked that achievement at $100. $200 is the mint chocolate soju. This is a punishment shot, and the $300 shot is a horrible double shot of Gi-1, the first Korean single malt whiskey. All right, that's it. All the background information is out of the way. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole says, did you get the good news regarding Mendez? Yes, I did a show on it very, very shortly after the case was dismissed, like minutes after. I did a quick video. It's up there. For those of you that don't know, the Guatemalan case with the 18-year-old Guatemalan kid that was beset upon by 4 police officers, tased in the spine 6 times, and was charged with the felony murder of a police officer, which was ultimately reduced to negligent manslaughter, aggravated manslaughter of a law enforcement officer. All charges against him were dropped, and we'll probably be doing there. I have a link to a press conference that was done shortly thereafter. We'll watch the press conference probably over the weekend. So good for that. All right, let's pull this case up. This is what we got to focus on right now. The Halyna Gutierrez read, day 8 afternoon. I'm expecting here on day 9, which is today. I'm expecting the prosecution to rest. We'll see if they do. All right. Put us into court view mode and embiggen. Boom. There we go. There are no subtitles yet. Usually takes a day or so for the subtitles to come up. And we'll fast forward.
We talked about.
Okay, this is Seth Kenney. Seth Kenney's cross-examination continues. He's being cross-examined by Mr. Bowles, the defense lawyer, about his role in whether he did or did not supply live ammunition to the set where Alec Baldwin ultimately put a round through Halyna Hutchins' right armpit, went through her chest cavity, apparently severed her spine, went out of her back into Joel Souza, the director's shoulder. He was the primary cartridge supplier, I guess we'll call it, for the dummy rounds, the blank rounds, and they found some live ammunition at his place. They're trying the defense lawyer is now trying to insinuate that some of the live ammunition may have come from him.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Kenney.
And again, the audio is only in one ear for some reason. It's in the left channel, not the right.
Live rounds from the 1883 set that came back. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
And you also testified that the state took 10 live rounds total from your place, correct?
I don't recall that. No, from the 45 Colt ammunition, they took all of them.
All right. Again, I have to pause here again. Sorry. For me, if you go way back into the archives, the Alec Baldwin interrogation videos, like Alec Baldwin, Halyna Gutierrez, Sarah, Seth, David Halls, all of these people were some of the very earliest videos I did in my little YouTube career here. And he came across as particularly slimy, greasy, like wanting to do whatever he could to shift focus off of himself and onto anyone else but him. I didn't like him back then, but when we're watching the trial, we can only focus on what is presented here in trial. You know, if they show his interrogation video, if they refer to it, then we can consider what is being shown and what is referred to. But the jury doesn't know about all of that. So the jury can only look at what they see here on the stand. And yesterday, he wasn't coming off as particularly slimy until cross-examination. Then he's avoiding, he's deflecting, he's trying not to answer the questions, and he's coming off a little douchey on cross-examination. And before we jump into this, Charlie Eckert, what's up, Charlie Eckert? Thank you so much for the $5. Would it be a reasonable defense to say that no live rounds should have been anywhere near the set and Hannah should not have had to look out for them? No, because she was the armorer and that was her job. She specifically said during her interrogation by the police that her job, that she knows that accidents can happen on set, and it's her specific job to make sure they don't. Plus, you know, she was the armorer, and that's her job to check all of the weapons, all of the rounds as they're going into the weapons. So yeah, that's not a really good defense. There's a lot of the, you know, but for if there hadn't been live ammunition, and right now it seems most probable that she is the one who introduced the live ammunition onto the set. That seems to be the most logical and reasonable explanation at this point. So that's not going to be a great defense. Jill M, sorry for pulling out there. Jill M, thank you so much for the Australian $2. Much love from Western Australia. Well, good. It's still a good time for you then. It's not 2 o'clock in the morning like the East Australians have to deal with. Thank you so much for being here, Jill Ems. I appreciate it. You are awesome. Far more awesome than Seth Kenny. Let's hear what Seth's got to say.
And we've seen the pictures, there was 10 total on what was shown today. You recall that testimony?
10 live.
Yes.
Okay. Freaked me out. I thought I had frozen. It was the court. They're doing a little sidebar so we can skip through the sidebar.
Kenny, Mr. Kenny, do you have reloading equipment?
I don't.
What?
I don't.
Hey, do you recall?
Hey, Charles Krug, what's up?
On July 11th, 2023, I asked you if you had any reloading equipment, and you said, I do.
Possibly in California. Possibly.
Okay. Does that mean
Possibly.
you do have reloading equipment?
Well, PDQ doesn't have reloading equipment, and we don't reload.
Okay, sir, but do you recall when I asked you, now, do you have any reloading equipment? Your answer was, I do.
Personally, in California, there may be. I haven't seen it in years.
Okay, and you know how to convert a dummy round from into a live round, don't you?
Hypothetically.
Yeah, because hypothetically, don't you recall telling Detective Hancock that if the camera crew, let me just get the wording so I don't misquote it. If the camera crew wanted to send a little going away present, and then you described the process. Do you recall that?
No, I don't recall it.
If you showed this to you, would it refresh your memory?
Sure.
All right, refresh his memory. We got almost 500 people here, 200 likes, 300 if you haven't done your job. Get down there and smash that like button, you 300 degenerates. Get down there.
How far do you want me to read down?
Just the highlighted portions.
Okay.
This is not the July 11 transcript?
That is the November with Detective Hancock.
His tie is always wonky off to the side like that, and it annoys me to no end.
It does.
So now do you recall having a conversation with Detective Hancock about how one could turn a dummy into a live round?
Yes, yes.
And can you tell Jerry, how would you do that?
Well, the easiest thing would be to have reloading equipment, press out the inert primer
Well, that would be the
First,
easiest way to do it.
If we imagine a dummy round where the bullet is actually pressed into the case, and you had an inert primer, you need a fairly complicated setup of reloading equipment. You need either a kinetic bullet puller to remove the bullet from the case. If you used a set of pliers, it would mangle the bullet and prevent seating afterwards in a die if you had reloading equipment. So you'd have to somehow remove the bullet from the case. We're assuming there's a BB or number 2 lead shot rattle that would have to be removed. You'd have to have a decapper to press out the inner primer, and then you could use the same bullet, assuming it wasn't mangled, and you'd have to have a live primer and a charge of powder, and then be able to have the appropriate dye and seat it to the appropriate depth, as well as putting in again the fresh.
What? Yeah, Bowles was representing her less than 3 weeks after the shooting. It's not that they had trouble just finding a firearms expert. They had trouble finding a firearms expert who would testify on Hannah's behalf. That's kind of how bad she was with what she did. No other firearms experts wanted to testify on her behalf.
Primer installer.
Okay, and then you'd have to get the proper amount of grains of powder in there as well.
Yes.
Okay, and what would that generally be?
Well, historically, I think in the pre-1900 era, it would be roughly 28 grains of powder from memory, if that's correct. And then it depends on the powder as well.
This is Seth.
All the way up to.
This is Seth Kenny, the guy that supplied the cartridges, rounds, ammunition, whatever you want to call it, to the set.
Now, I want to go over something you said before lunch on the leathers. You said that these were mailed back from the Old Way movie by Hannah to yourself, and that you provided these to her, correct?
Yeah, they were shipped back via FedEx.
And they were shipped in a box from the Old Way, and then you never removed them from the box, correct?
That's correct.
So, but then, would you agree with me then that those leathers were then used on the Rust side?
I don't know that. All I know is that box, and I'm unaware of the quantity in there. I did take a photo at the time. I don't know how many were in there and whether or not they used them.
Okay, so you opened it up and you looked in it.
Yes, I opened it up. I took a picture.
Okay. With regard to the prop truck search, we didn't talk about that yet. When you went to the set on October 27th, you already had the code to the safe, correct?
Yes.
And Sarah had given that to you?
Yeah, she sent it to me by text.
Sarah was technically your employee of PDQ Props, correct?
Sure, she was the representative of PDQ for the Rust production.
And she's the one that called you right after the shooting incident. You all talked for 30 seconds to a minute. Is that right?
It was a very quick conversation, yes.
And your testimony under oath is that you did not tell her to throw any of those rounds away.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. But then she did throw them away.
Yes, she
I learned
did.
about that months
What?
later.
And did you know that guns had been transported from the cart? Did you tell her to do that?
No.
Okay. Did you train Sarah before she worked on Rust?
I did.
And you trained her in what, in gun safety or what?
Yeah, the basics of using blank adapted guns and blanks and dummy rounds on a set.
And I take it you never trained her to throw away dummy rounds after a scene.
Oh. Well, I don't recall that conversation or even indicating at what point you would want to throw away dummy rounds.
Because they're rented, right?
They are rented. Yep.
Okay. Now, you also gave Hannah shells on the Old Way movie, spent shells. Do you recall that?
Spent shells? No.
You didn't provide her 2 bags of spent shells?
No.
You knew that Joe Swanson loaded Trail Boss type powder. That's one of the powder he uses, correct?
Sometime after a meeting with Detective Hancock, trying to trace down the origin of the live rounds found on Rust, that was part of the questioning that I did call him in and say, do you recall?
And don't get into what he said.
Okay.
But your impression after it was that your understanding is he loads Trail Boss powder.
Yes.
Okay. You also remember telling Detective Hancock after you called Troy Teskey that he was willing to provide a box and a half of reloads, the same batch from Joe Swanson?
I remember the conversation. I don't remember the quantity of which he was willing to provide.
Okay, so in any event, whatever the quantity was, you knew that Troy Teskey had rounds from the same batch of live reloads from Joe Swanson.
That's what I understood.
And you understood that he was willing to provide those, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I want to show you, sir, some of the pictures that have been introduced, and I want to go over these with you. First one, Mr. Kinney, is defendant's L18, and I'll show you This photo, can you tell the jury what this depicts?
It depicts a shelf at PDQ's office in Albuquerque with a blank supply.
Okay, now I want you to look at the box at the top. It says, let me see if I can zoom in, 30 Mauser. See that?
Yes.
Does that appear the font similar to the font on the box that we saw earlier? It was in Lieutenant Benavides' vehicle in the set of arrest.
Well, I recognize that as a Joe Swanson label.
And you have Joe Swanson labels then in your business, correct?
Yes.
Now, the other thing that I've noticed on some of these photos, and I'll show you, but that some of them have JS, some of them don't. Is that a fair statement?
I noticed the JS. I don't notice when it's omitted.
How do you get those labels? Do you make those labels?
No, that's all the Joe Swanson manufacturing supply.
Okay. I want to show you defendant's L15. And that's, we've seen this earlier on a different angle. This is more of a close-up. What are the boxes to the right of the shelf?
There are, well, I know that shelf fairly well. There's a mixture of, on top, we've seen a collection, what appear to be 12 gauge blanks.
Okay, and then how about the boxes underneath? I'm going to point to these boxes in here.
Yeah, more blanks stored in bulk.
Just stored together in bulk?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Kinney, how about these loose rounds in the bag up here by the firearms? You see those? Not loose, they're in a baggie, are they?
Yeah, again, stored in bulk. From memory, I think they're 500 per bag, approximately.
What type of rounds are those?
They look to be 223.
Are you certain?
No.
Okay. How about defendant's L2? What is this scene? Oh, jeez, sorry. What is this scene here? Defendant's L2.
That's in the backyard
And what
of PDQ's headquarters or PDQ's space in Albuquerque.
what are all the boxes there for?
They're just waiting to be thrown out.
And you know how long they've been sitting there before they were thrown out?
Well, in that pile is one of the boxes is from the shipment of the new guns from Pieta. So some of it very recent.
From Pieta before the movie?
From before the movie.
Okay, so that would have been in October, early October, when you got that Pieta. So this was late November.
Yeah, so they've been there roughly a month.
Month and a half. Okay. How about defendant's L5? Can you tell Jerry what this is? Is that
It's the same view, the same stack of boxes looking to the side gate exit entry.
so? How about defendant's L6? Can you tell Jerry what's in that picture?
There'll be a lot of empty gun cases. Some of them are populated with guns and other props. Underneath, there's a bunch of locked cabinets with firearms and other various props inbound and outbound.
Okay, so some of these are live or real weapons.
Yeah, primarily these are going to be live. I'm going to say 90%. There's also the possibility that there are other things in there that are inert or replicas.
And let me show you defendant's L10 now. And can you describe what room is this in PDQ?
That would be the coffee room.
Okay, and that's the coffee room. Now, is there any ammunition stored in the coffee room?
No.
Okay. I want to show you now L32.
There's no coffee in the coffee room,
That
just
is
bullets. So
absolute
wouldn't that be like the bullet room?
And appears to be at the very bottom is indicated live ammo of the gray bins.
All right. Well, while he's doing that, we got two things to do. We got the super chats and to put up today's poll. Jill M, thank you so much again for the super chat. Says, why was there even live rounds on the set? There shouldn't have been. We don't know why. Why means somebody was negligent and didn't do their job. So that's the short answer. There were live rounds on set because someone didn't do their job, and that someone appears to be Hannah at this point. So that's kind of the answer to your question. Finn's Chlortho with a $2 super chat. His Rust license used. Why is he not on trial? Don't know. Can't answer that. Cannot answer that. But there is one thing that can be answered. You can answer the poll. Today's like and subscribe poll is up live now. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. There's 531 of you here and 239 likes. Again, that's 300 of you have not done your job. Get down there and smash that like button and check to make sure you're subscribed. And once you've confirmed that you are subscribed and you have liked today's show, make sure you come over here and take our like and subscribe poll. What was Hannah thinking about when the gun went off? Here's your four choices. What was Hannah thinking when the gun went off? Is this a candid camera prank? This wasn't on my bingo card today. Well, this escalated quickly, and this considered on-the-job training? Those are your four irreverent choices for your like and subscribe poll today. Did it say on jog?
Damn it. It says on jog. That's on job. That's what I get for trying to do 3 things at once. Anyway, that's on the job training. So there you go. That's your choices. Let's go.
And so you've got live ammo, and then on top of that, do you have blanks or dummies?
Those are all blanks.
Okay. So you got them, and they're not in the same container. In this
Yes,
case,
that would have been a
you got them
choice.
all
It's happening to
separate.
Harper, but that wouldn't have been a
Okay.
funny choice.
And
That was the
is that
real choice.
Something that you would commonly do is store this live ammo in the bathroom?
No, not commonly. It was just short on time and offloading the Sprinter, and got to put it somewhere quick and get back to Texas or California or whatever it might be.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kinney, then I want to show you if you recognize the Finance L35. That's a box that says 45LC. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That is a box that that I populated with Thale Reed's 1883 Cowboy Training Camp live ammo.
Okay, now on that particular box, it says
Today's
it's not marked
court is supposed to
live, is it?
start.
And
Oh, are they going to
so
start late
what else
because
is
of
around in the box? Do you know if
because
this
of
round is
voting?
live?
I would assume that they are live.
I hope so. That would catch us up.
Do you recall what the Finance L40 is?
No, it's Thale Reed's green ammo box.
And that was found in PEQ crops.
Correct.
Oh, interesting. Hannah, for those of you that don't know, Hannah Gutierrez' stepfather, Thel Reed, is probably the most legendary armorer ever to work in the film industry, ever. And that's kind of how she got her job. And they're saying that her stepfather, one of his ammo boxes was found there at Seth's Armory. Interesting. Okay, 10 a.m. They're starting at court, so that is noon. Great. We'll just catch up with this. That's awesome. It'll be a short show today, and I can sleep. Oh, lucky me.
And so then I want to show you earlier. This is the Finance L43. Earlier, you talked about this photo. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I think you said that this.
Okay, time out. The state rested yesterday. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. That's actually one spoiler. Thank you. Because I was expecting them to rest yesterday, but I didn't hear anything one way or the other. So there we go.
This
That's
was,
good to
the
know.
dummies
Thanks.
you provided, correct?
I'll just have to change the description and
Before
everything.
polishing and populating in the white box provided to Sarah Zachary. Yes.
Okay. Now, as you look at this photo, this round up here, isn't that a blank?
Yeah, that's a spent blank.
And then how about this round right here, right around point here?
That's another spent blank.
Okay. So this was not all dummies. This also had spent blanks in it.
Correct.
Okay. Now the sheriffs did not seize this. They did not seize these at the time of the search. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
I want to show you defendants D.
Sorry, I was just pulling up the
He told
court
you
feed.
what
The
this
court
is?
That's a
says
maintenance
they're going to
bench,
start in
bench.
1 hour.
A bench to do what?
Maintenance of firearms.
Okay. So this is where you maintain the firearms?
Yeah, there's gloves there and some cleaning products. That would be one of them. Yes.
What are these rounds down here? They look like shotgun shells, but what are these? Can you see?
From memory, yeah, from memory, that was a project on a previous film.
Okay, and then you have rounds in the back here. You know what those are?
I can't see.
It's hard to see.
Okay, dummy. I see dummy blanks. Shall I circle it
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
right there? Yep. It says 45 ACP dummy blanks.
Now, when you say dummy blanks, is that another type of round or are they dummy rounds?
Instead of chambering a dummy round, it's better to chamber a dummy blank in inert one-piece extrusion, and it's a safer way of doing it. If we have a call at some point in the action where somebody needs to chamber a round that is inert. The dummy rounds are problematic in semi-automatic and automatic firearms, and if upon repeated chambering, the components can come loose. So Joe Swanson came up with this invention, which is a dummy blank.
Dummy blank, okay. And what is these tools in the back? The yellow and green?
One is an Allen wrench set. The green one is a Torx set.
What do you use those for?
Again, it would just be actually.
Oh, well, how about if I turn them? I was just laying, I was going to be snacking on a little bit of food here, so I muted it. Sorry about that. Aaron Hack, no. This is actually a good spoiler. That's why I said this is a good spoiler. This is the spoiler I needed. I'm always good about not putting in spoilers. No, I wanted this. So thank you so much for that, because I thought they would be resting yesterday because they seem to be putting Seth Kenney on, who they think is their star witness. I think he wasn't. I think they should have put Joel Souza on last, the one who actually got shot. He would have been a great last witness, but they put him on. We'll find out the timing, because people are saying that court starts at 10. Court TV says an hour from now. So I'm wondering if the jury isn't coming back at 10 a.m., but they're going to do the motions and things before the jury gets there, because they have to do the motion to dismiss and things like that. They have to go through all of the standard mid-trial motions. So maybe they're going to, we'll find out at the end of this. It doesn't really matter until we're going to get through this, and the judge will explain it all at the end. So one of those two are likely. So thank you very, very much for that. I muted it because I didn't want you to hear the paper rattling. Now I'm gonna flash on and off camera while I'm taking bites, because nobody wants to watch me eat. Nobody wants that.
The yellow-handled ones are used commonly to attenuate the flash of semi-automatic and fully automatic weapons.
Defendant's what is that equipment or device right here?
Those are a pair of vices, small vices.
A pair of
Is that your
legal
defendant's
vices?
No, defendant's S. Is this, you recognize that?
I do.
And is this your box as well?
It is.
Are those live rounds?
Yes. Well, the box, I remember writing 45 long Colt and thinking that this is odd not to write dummy or blanks or specify what it is. It's 45 long Colt because it's 45 long Colt live. And I don't need to write live. It's just live.
45 long Colt.
Yeah.
And defendant's V, can you tell the jury what that is?
Those are Joe Swanson blanks.
Defendant's AA. Again, we have those Mauser boxes at the top of that font, and that's a Joe Swanson font. Is that right?
Those are definitely Joe Swanson boxes in fonts.
Okay.
That I commonly see from him.
Okay. This is defendant's Y. And again, let me show you the overall picture. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell the jury what that is?
That's that same wooden shelf holding blank rounds.
Okay. And again, we have at the top these 300 blackout. Is that the Joe Swanson font?
It is.
Okay. And you see some of these boxes, they got the JS, like on the 9mm.
I see that. Yes.
Okay. That's what I was noticing before. But you said there on some of them and some of them.
I commonly, I noticed, bless you, I see the JS, but if it's omitted, it's not, it's just not something I notice.
Okay. And I want to show you defendant's X now. What is this picture?
That's that same wooden shelf.
Okay. And defendant's W. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, that's the top of the black bookshelf that's adjacent to the wooden cabinet.
Okay, defendant's Z. Can you tell us what that is?
Same wooden shelf.
What are the rounds on the right in this bin here?
Those are small bags of 25, more than likely it's 25 ACP and 32 ACP bags of blanks.
Defendant's U, again, these tools.
It's the same, same Allen wrench set and Torx wrench set on top of the maintenance table.
Okay, defendant's CC. You see that?
I do.
And this box over here, is that a Joe Swanson?
It is.
Okay. And these spent shells, what are those? What caliber?
I can't tell from this photo.
Okay. You know what these spent shells were doing here?
I don't recall.
Those are the kind of thing that can be reloaded, correct?
Yeah, unless a case is torn, it's become brittle and started to fracture, you can reload it.
This is defendant's T, and that's is this the live ammo from 1883? That box?
It is.
Okay. I want to show you defendant's N27, and I'm going to show you that upright, but then I'm going to turn around. Is that your writing on the blue box?
It is.
Okay. And defendant's N29, is that same box?
It is. It's one side or the other. Because yeah, both have a label just like that.
Okay.
Both ends.
Okay. Now, a couple more questions on the prop trucks I forgot to ask you. When you were going there, do you recall telling Sarah to put a piece of tape over the safe?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the purpose of that?
Well, I wanted to make sure that nobody got into the safe before the law enforcement showed up.
One last series of questions on the disagreement that Hannah and Sarah had, you were talking about earlier, and that was over the negligent discharge or accidental discharge, you called it?
Accidental discharge, yes.
Okay, sir, do you recall telling Hannah that Sarah was her boss and not to push it?
Yes.
You were basically telling her to back off.
Finally, in the middle of the afternoon session, we get audio back in 2 channels. Thank you so much, Court TV, for unintercoursing yourself.
Reporting anything? Shoot, I'm sorry. Jeez. Sorry, Judge. Siri picked up this thing. Do you recall telling Hannah something like to back off because she wanted to report to production?
It wasn't that she wanted to report it to production because Sarah had already reported it herself.
That wasn't the
That was
question.
issue.
Did you tell her to back off was the question. That was a question, not who she was reporting to.
Okay. But in any event, you told her that she should just move on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Your Honor, may I have just one more?
Again, how is this guy not charged? Hmm. All right. He did a little bit of cross-examination yesterday, little bit today, you know, not really too effective. I think. I mean, he did the best he could. I'll give him that. He did the best he could. So let's find out who the next witness is. Never mind. We've got some redirect. Looks like this will go quite a while, too. All right.
Mr. Kenny, is it your testimony that the 45 caliber live rounds at PDQ were reloads?
To my knowledge, yes.
And did any of those live rounds that were taken from PDQ have the same projectile shape as the projectile on the live rounds from the set of Rust?
No.
You spoke to Mr. Bowles. You indicated that you had, of the live rounds that you took to the set of 1883, there were three projectile types. Is that correct?
It is.
Did all three of those types come back to PDQ?
Once we were not, well, I'm unaware because once we were done with the cowboy training camp, I never went into that box again, or even the smaller white boxes, into the gray bin or the smaller white boxes. So I didn't take an inventory after we were done.
And the gray bin that you had marked live ammo, was all of the live ammo that you had at PDQ inside that bin?
Yes. Excuse me. All the live ammo from 1883 was in that gray bin. There was self-defense rounds elsewhere within PDQ that were live. Not 45 long Colt though.
That's what I was going to ask. What caliber was your self-defense rounds?
357, 38 special, and 300 blackout.
Oh God, not the 300 blackouts again. I thought we left those in South Carolina.
Approximately how many firearms does PDQ own?
Hundreds.
Do you keep all of them at the Albuquerque location?
No.
Do you have another location?
I do.
Where's that?
It's in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
You were asked a series of questions about primed cases. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What is exactly a primed case?
The prime case is a case. Could be a shotgun shell with just a primer, but we differentiate a prime case from a blank in that there's no additional charge of gunpowder to make a report, a noise, a bang, or a puff of smoke. And so it's a good training tool. It's a loud cap gun when it goes off. It helps initiate action on a set where there needs to be choreography of movement. And if you add talcum powder, it provides a bit of a puff to it.
So a primed case is just simply an empty brass, I'm going to suggest brass, I know it doesn't have to be brass, shell casing with a live primer. Is that right?
That's correct.
But it has no gunpowder.
No gunpowder.
And it has no projectile.
Definitely not. That would be a live round.
Can a primed case kill someone?
It can lead. Yes, it can. In a number of different ways.
How would that happen?
Well, in the Brandon Lee situation, a prime case initiation of the primer was enough to deliver the bullet, the projectile, into the barrel, causing what's called a squib load. And in that instance, what happened is the prop crew was unaware of what had happened. They emptied what were supposed to be dummy rounds, and they were not, because the live primer thus makes them something other than.
But let me ask you this. In order for a primed case to hurt someone in the manner that you're describing, such as the incident with Brandon Lee, there has to be a projectile somewhere, right?
Yes.
And in that case, there was a projectile lodged in the barrel of the gun.
Correct.
Okay. But the primed case itself, just the empty casing and the live primer, that's not going to kill anybody.
Highly doubtful that
Right.
would cause injury. Yes.
Okay. You said that it sounds like a loud pop gun.
It sounds like a loud cap gun.
Cap gun, I'm sorry. Because the primer has a small amount of explosive substance, and it's that lights the gunpowder that emits the projectile, correct?
That's correct.
Were all of your 45 long Colt caliber live rounds that you had at PDQ, were they all taken by the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
You were asked some questions about Starline brass casings. Is Starline brass a very common casing?
It's one of the primary sources of cases for Joe Swanson, but I've come to learn that even the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department uses it as one of their duty ammos.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the package that you received from Ms. Gutierrez after she finished her work on the old way. You indicated that there were some leather belts, but you didn't inventory those.
That's correct.
Did you notice, were there appearing to be dummy rounds in those leather belts?
Yes.
Did you inventory those?
I did not.
Were those your property?
No.
When you received the package from Ms. Gutierrez, did it also include firearms?
Not in the box with the gun leather. There was at least one replica firearm within that box. In separate cases, I believe there are probably 2 Pelican type hardened cases that contain firearms as well as other replicas. And the box just containing the leather did not have firearms in it.
But you did receive a box from Ms. Gutierrez that she shipped to you from Montana that contained firearms. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And those were shipped to you because they were your firearms, right?
Some of them were, yes. Some of them were also fails.
Okay. When you received the box that contained the firearms, was there anything concerning about the state they were in?
Yes. The primary concern is that some of them were loaded.
All right, while they're approaching, legally minded friend Karen Cole says, I was going to say grab a snack. Yeah, I have a chicken burrito-y sort of thing, like a chicken wrap. That's what I have here, chicken breast wrap. Bifron says, Hannah refused the immunity. I think she was never offered immunity. She was offered a plea deal in exchange for her admitting that she brought the live ammo on. She said no. And Vince Clortha says, Jeff, hope you weren't planning on sleeping if you intend to play all of yesterday. No, we watched half of yesterday. This is just the last part of the afternoon. This is the last 2 hours of the afternoon. That's all we've got left. Last 2 hours of yesterday afternoon, and then we'll see what happens. See what happens today. It all depends on the time. All righty, we can skip through some of this. First of all, thank you, legal-minded friends, Karen Cole. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Vince, for your care about me sleeping. And Bifrons, just thanks for being Bifrons.
Mr. King, you said that some of the guns were loaded?
Yes.
What were they loaded with?
Well, I found out that they were loaded with dummy rounds in the end.
And why was that concerning to you that the guns had been shipped to you loaded with dummy rounds? So whenever you're ready, I'm ready. Okay.
Well, because the assumption is that one, guns are always loaded unless you verify that they are not, and two, that rounds are live unless you validate that they are dummy rounds. And the fact that a couple, I believe it was from memory, a couple of the revolvers were loaded with rounds leads me to default that I have to assume these are live rounds until I validate that each and every one of the rounds are dummy rounds and that the guns are completely empty. So there was some sweaty palms at that moment.
Okay. I'm going to shift gears here. I'm going to show you what is already in evidence as State's Exhibit 168. I want you to have a look at this photo and tell me if the projectile shapes that you described to Mr. Bowles are present in this photo.
It looks like 99% are semi-wad cutter bullets. There's an oddball right in the middle of the photo.
Where can you use your screen? Oh, that's the oddball. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that has a projectile that I don't remember seeing. It's neither a semi-wad. They probably would consider that some variation of a wad cutter, but it almost looks like a truncated cone type projectile.
Okay, and truncated cones were one of the projectiles that you recall from.
She's got truncated cones.
The cowboy training camp. Yes.
I'm going to show you what's already in evidence of State's Exhibit 171. How would you describe those?
That's another variation of a semi-wad cutter.
Okay. Would you consider that a truncated cone?
No.
All right. I'm going to show you what is already in evidence as State's Exhibit 57. Would these be a primed case?
Well, I can't see what's on the opposite end away from the nickel primer. Is there a projectile in the end?
For the purposes of this question, let's assume that there is no gunpowder in those casings and there is no projectile at the other end.
Yeah, I would call these a spent case because the primers have been hit. But at the same time, we have to assume that any primer is potentially live, even though it's been struck, because it could be a hard primer. But commonly, if somebody, the layman took a look at this picture and said, well, what is that? I would say a spent case casually, but I would not make a dummy round out of that.
Sure. In order for a primed case to be a primed case, it has to have an unstruck primer, correct?
Yes, and we assume that it's not an inert prime case.
But you can see that the primer struck on those.
We need to initiate some kind of action with the least amount of noise. I would call up Joe Swanson and say, I need a box of 50 prime cases.
Okay. But those don't appear to be that to you, do they?
They don't.
There,
I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. It could be in the providing weapons and blanks and dummy rounds to production for film. I don't know what that is. I mean, casually, I would say if I was just a shooter out there, I would say, no, it's a spent case.
Right. It looks like a spent casing.
Yeah.
All of the dummies that you provided to the set of rust, the 45 long Colt dummies that came directly from you, did all of them rattle?
Yes,
Did you provide any dummy rounds to the set of rust that did not rattle?
I did.
Which ones were those?
Those were the 44 Henry copper plated rounds.
And those are completely different looking than any of the 45 long Colt dummies, correct?
Correct. They
Yep.
haven't made 44 Henry since the pre-1900.
So the 44 Henrys, how do you know that those are dummies?
Well, they don't make them anymore, and
How do you know they're dummies? If they don't rattle?
it's a problem. You assume that they're live. Then
Is there a hole in the side? How do you know it's a dummy?
you don't. That's a problem.
There's no hole in the side.
There's no hole in the side.
Do you know whether or not, did you say they were 4470s?
44 Henry.
44 Henry. Do you know whether any of the 44 Henrys were ever even used on the set of rust?
No.
You don't know?
No, and to be clear, the 44 Henrys don't have a traditional primer. You cannot reload them. They're like a 22 rimfire. It's the same thing. It's just an oversized version of that.
All right. You were asked some questions about how many times you called Detective Hancock. Why did you call her so many times?
Just to aid in the investigation, whatever she needed, or if I found something that I thought she might want to see, or if I had any questions. It was routine for us to be in communication.
Okay. You made a statement on cross-examination that you didn't want to work, I think it was in a text message maybe, that you didn't want to work with Ms. Gutierrez in the future. Is that correct? Do you recall making that statement?
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
yes.
Why didn't you want to work with her in the future?
Well,
he was trying to get the girl I was smashing in
loading
trouble.
a full load blank with a horse in the vicinity is a huge violation of an armorer's work.
So why don't you explain to the jury what you're talking about? Because I don't think that we've addressed that issue yet. Was there an issue that came to your attention with regard to
Interesting.
The set animals and a full load blank?
There was several days prior, and I don't know exactly when it happened. Sarah Zachary called to discuss a number of things, including her concern.
And I'm gonna stop you right there.
Oh,
I got it.
Yep.
So did you receive information that there was an issue with a full load blank and an animal?
Yes.
Okay, stop there. Generally speaking, explain to the jury what types of blanks are to be used around animals, what types are not, and why, having nothing to do with what happened on Rust.
In general, we have several iterations of blank loads, and the idea is that we always want to use the least amount of noise and gunpowder for the effect necessary. And so if ultimately we could get away with using nothing but a prime case, that would be ideal.
Sir, in terms of blanks, what are the appropriate size blanks to use around horses on a movie set?
So horses and kids, no greater than 1/4 load.
So is there a blank load that is less than a 1/4 load?
There is 1/8 as well. Yes.
Okay. Why is it not advisable to use full load blanks around set animals?
Well, it's
Scary.
It's frankly, it's considered animal cruelty.
Yeah, that's kind of some bullshit. Just animal cruelty, that's kind of a bullshit answer. The correct answer would be it scares them and they can hurt the actors sitting on their backs or standing near them. All right. Island says, I dislike Seth way less than Danny, but way more than Jeff. No, I dislike him. I mean, looking at everything he's said and done thus far, I strongly dislike him. But I'm, when we sit here, when we're watching the trials, we have to analyze his testimony given in court. The testimony he's given up until he started being evasive with the defense was not bad. But I mean, if you look at everything he's done, I dislike him very strongly. But I'm just evaluating his testimony as presented in court. Yeah, I mean, there are horses that are trained for full
Okay,
loads.
Mr. King, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
You were asked some questions about
She lost.
making dummy rounds into live rounds. Do you recall those questions from Mr. Bowles?
I do.
So it sounds like that would be a bit of a complicated process. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the opposite. Would it be considerably easier to turn a live round into a dummy?
It would be not. It would be. It's not the ideal situation again, especially if we're talking
I'm
about.
not asking what's ideal. I'm asking would it be easier?
Okay, this is something interesting. I pointed this out yesterday when she was doing her direct examination. She was, that expression sums everything up. When she was doing her original direct examination, I mentioned that she was controlling him. She was corralling him by telling him, okay, you don't say this. When I ask you this, don't say what that person said or don't say what that person did. Just answer the question. She was very, very specific with her questions and telling him not to say anything more than she's asked, not to elaborate, not to do these other things, because she was afraid he would get loose and go rogue. And that's what she's doing again, but even more so, even to a higher degree here on redirect. I'm not asking what's ideal. I'm asking this. She's trying to control him even more than she was during the direct examination.
There's one less step. Well, no, actually, we're excluding. You have to press out the primer. It's less complicated.
So if one were to try to turn live rounds into dummy rounds, would they need any special equipment?
They would need full reloading.
I'm just asking you if they would need special equipment.
Yes.
Is one of the pieces of equipment that they might need an inertia puller?
The bullet puller, yes. A kinetic puller would be one of them, yes.
All right, thank you.
She's trying to paint
You
a
asked some
picture
questions
here,
about your
dude.
Training of Ms. Zachary.
Just follow her
did
lead.
you train Ms. Zachary specifically on how to handle a single action army revolver?
No.
You were shown a series of photos and asked about Joe Swanson labels. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Mr. Boltzmann?
All right, we can fast forward through the silence.
I'm going to show Mr. Kinney States Exhibits 193 through 208, and I don't believe there's an objection, and I would ask for permission to publish.
No objection, Your Honor.
Page 193.
To what?
280.
208.
Is admitted, you may publish.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Kinney, for the purposes of these questions, I want you to think back to the photo that you saw of the Joe Swanson box that was taken from the set of Rust. Do you recall the photo I'm talking about? If not, I'll show it to you again.
The one on the prop cart, just to be clear.
Yes,
Yes.
the dummies,
Yes.
Joe Swanson dummies
Yes.
with the JS in the middle.
Yes.
And you indicated that you have never had a box that had that kind of label.
Correct.
So,
Specifically 45 long cold.
well, let's go through them. States Exhibit 193, are those labels just like the one from the set of Rust?
Well, no.
Right, that's not a trick question. How about these? States Exhibit 194, are those just like the ones from the set of Rust?
No.
Same question here, 195. We've got several boxes. If you need me to zoom in on anything, I'm happy to.
No. It's yes. No, I don't.
Are
Yes,
any of
yes,
those
no,
the same as
yes,
the box
yes.
from Rust?
No.
These, are any of these the same as the box from Rust?
No.
How about these?
No.
And that's, for the record, States Exhibit 197. States Exhibit 198, how about these?
No.
States Exhibit 199, how about these?
No.
States Exhibit 200, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 201, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 202, over on the left, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 203, same question.
No.
States Exhibit 204.
No.
States Exhibit 205.
No.
State's Exhibit 206.
No.
State's Exhibit 207.
No.
State's Exhibit 208.
No.
You testified that you provided some fake guns to for Rust. Is that right?
Yes. Replica guns. Yes.
Did you provide any fake long guns for the set of Rust?
No.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Can I just two follow up with regard to turning a live into a dummy? You talked about one piece of equipment. What other equipment would you need to do that?
Well, you need a piece of equipment to press out the primer. You need.
So what?
press
What? How does
and
this help? How
install
does
the
this
proper
help
relay
Anna?
relays. You would need some way of measuring powder as well, potentially dispensing the powder. And then you need a piece of equipment to load the primer into the case.
How does that question help your client?
Okay. Now, I think you testified that you didn't train Sarah Zachary on the use of the single action revolver.
Correct.
And she was under your license. So was she not permitted to use that,
No, she was permitted.
even without the training?
Well, a cold gun. It's a good question. I don't recall
You
going
don't know.
over. I just don't remember training her to check for safe on a single action army. I think,
That helps your
is
client.
the armor. She's going to take care of it.
Okay. But you did train her with regard to, I mean, you did certify her on your paperwork.
Well, there's no certification.
Okay. Not certification, but you did have her on your paperwork.
Correct.
All right, you're excused.
Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
All right, that's the end of Seth Kenny.
1 minute to check the list. The state will briefly recall Corporal Hancock.
All right, Corporal Hancock being recalled.
Okay, sorry, somebody? I can't hear you. Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Oh, it's her. Every day she changes her hair. It was curly straight, now it's curly again.
Corporal, thank you for your second round on the witness stand. As a sworn law enforcement officer, are you familiar with the crime of negligent use of a firearm? Yes. And what are the different ways that the elements of negligent use of a firearm can be fulfilled?
Holy shit. Finally. Good God almighty. They're presumably their last, if not very, very close to last witnesses. They're finally getting to the elements of the crime, what the prosecution has to prove in order for Halyna Gutierrez to be found guilty. Oftentimes, the judge will read the charges, they'll read the elements of the crime and read the preliminary instructions, they're called, which will include the elements of the crime. The judge didn't do that in this case. If the judge doesn't do it, virtually always the prosecution at the very, very beginning, like the first things out of their mouths are usually, this is the elements of the crime. This is what we have the burden of proving. And that's what the opening statements are. The opening statements are a roadmap to get you to a conviction. You say, this is the crime she's charged with. Here are the elements of the crime. We must prove this and this and this and this for her to be found guilty. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to call this witness who's going to testify to this. We're going to call that witness who's going to testify to that. We're going to call the other witness who's going to testify to the other thing. And at the end of the day, the only reasonable and rational verdict you can return will be a verdict of maybe a verdict of guilty. That would be a normal opening statement. They didn't do that. We've gone this entire trial. We've gone this entire trial without knowing what the elements of the crime are, without knowing what the jury should be looking at because the jury should have had this roadmap so they know what's important. They know what to be listening for, what to look for, what to take notes on, what not to take notes on. It's been a mystery, and finally they're telling us what the important thing is. All right, so what am I wrong about? Bush says I'm wrong. What am I wrong about? I don't know what I'm wrong about. Anywho, I'm waiting here. Opening statements could be totally biased. Frank statements, names, dates, weapons. Yeah, I didn't say they couldn't. Anyway, I was apparently wrong about something. Don't know what it was. And Bush hasn't told me what it is, so we'll continue. All right, let's move along here. Finally, let's figure out what we should have been looking at all this time. And now when she goes through all of these elements, and what you're going to hear is, if they do it correctly, you're going to hear two different definitions of negligent manslaughter, which she's charged with. She's been charged with two different counts of negligent manslaughter. They're alternative charges. One, very basically, because she's going to get more into it. One, she was negligent whilst doing something illegal. She was performing an unlawful act in a negligent manner. Alternatively, they're saying alternatively, she was doing something negligent. She was doing something lawful in a negligent manner. So the question is going to be, was she negligent? That's the first thing. What was she criminally negligent? And two, the next question, if they say yes, she's negligent, then the question is, when she was acting negligently, was she performing a lawful act or was she performing an unlawful act? And she's going to go on and tell all of this here. So here we go. Oh, maybe we're not going to get it.
The elements of negligent use of a firearm can be fulfilled.
Maybe we're not going to hear it. Okay. All right, we're taking the lunch. We're taking the afternoon break, I guess. All right, let's skip through the break. Come back.
When Mr. Haig. All right, Corporal, we're going to move on. Were you present in the...
Well, fuck me. I guess we're not going to get to hear it now. that whole rant about everything I said, well, finally, that entire rant, just put it aside. Just strike that from the record. Maybe that's what Bush was saying I was wrong about. They're not going to do it. All right, forget I said anything. Let's go.
In the courtroom when Mr. Haig was doing his demonstration with his single action army? Yes, I was. And as a trained law enforcement officer, are you proficient in firearms? Fairly proficient. Have you been able to access that?
Yeah, you're all probably right there. I thought they were going to find a way to do this because she's not a lawyer. She's not testifying. This is why the defense. This is why the prosecution should have done it in their opening statements. They didn't. She doesn't get to do it here. Move along.
That gun that Mr. Haig was using for his demonstration today. Yes. And did you attempt to view the barrel of the gun without removing the cylinder?
Yes.
Were you successful?
Yes.
You were?
Well, sorry, in looking at it, yes, but not fully.
Okay, so why don't you explain to the jury what you did in order to try to do a barrel check for debris or items in the barrel without removing the cylinder.
So with the revolver that Mr. Higg had brought in, what I did was essentially took the hammer to half cock, which would allow that cylinder to spin freely.
I took
then I
a
tried to
hammer,
look
a hammer,
down the barrel,
a
kind of
hammer,
on the
I
side of that
hammered them
revolver.
down.
You can see
A hammer.
a little bit of light shining through it, but you cannot fully see like an unobstructed barrel view when you're looking down it. That's essentially what I would kind of consider looking like at a corner. So you're not really able to see, parts of that corner. Next, I pulled the hammer fully back all the way to see if you could see where the firing pin goes into that cylinder. So I tried to look down that way to see if I could see the entirety of the barrel. Again, that hole it's too small. I could see light shining through, but not enough to where I could say that the barrel was, completely empty or that
There's
I
a
could confidently say that there wasn't
light
anything in the barrel.
shining at the
And then
Frankenstein
the last thing that I did
place.
uncomfortably
There's a light.
is I actually took that revolver and with it at the full cock position, I actually looked down the barrel of that gun and used a light source because it was really hard to see in it with it being it's a darker barrel. So I looked, actually had that barrel pointing at my face and to try to look down it, too dark to see it just normally. So I used a light source to try to look down. But again, when you're shining that light source down the barrel, you're having to move in different directions. So personally, I wouldn't comfortably say that that the barrel would be free of anything like debris or any sort of particles.
She would be
in
difficult to
the case.
hang.
All right, thank you. Shifting gears, are you familiar with the name Brian Norvell?
Yes.
And do you know whether or not he was interviewed in this case?
Yes.
You know, or he was?
He was.
Okay. And were the defense attorneys present for that interview?
Yes, they were.
Have you listened to the entire interview?
Yes, I have.
Did the defense, and let me ask you, in terms of let's go back to State's Exhibit 2, in terms of Mr. Benavidez's video, who is Brian Norvell on that video?
So in that lapel video, Brian Norvell is the individual that brings that prop cart over in front of the patrol unit to Lieutenant Benavidez, and he's the same individual that reaches his hand over the crime scene tape to pick something up off the cart.
Approximately how long was the interview that you listened to?
It was about an hour and 45 minutes, give or take.
Did anyone from the defense ask Mr. Norvell any questions?
No.
Were you present in the courtroom when Mr. Bowles asked Mr. Kinney approximately how many times he called you? And I think Mr. Kinney agreed it was approximately 40 times.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't find her Facebook because Facebook's
Quite
down
a bit,
right now.
Not just calls, but also emails and text messages.
Yeah, see, that's another reason why Seth Kenny is a little not okay. That's why he's a lot sus. He called the police over 40 times. They didn't ask him to call. He called them voluntarily over 40 times and sent a bunch of emails saying, "Oh, you look at this, look at that, check out this person, do this. It wasn't me. It wasn't me."
Would you say it was more than 40 times?
I'd say at least around
That's
that.
weird.
And how many times have I called you?
A handful, maybe between 5 and 10.
All right, thank you.
What,
I'll
Flux?
pass you.
What?
Sorry.
What are you panicking about, Flux? All right, well, they're approaching. Aisle into the $2. Her name is Officer Hot Lips, Jeff. Get it right. Well, Officer Filler. Officer Lip Filler. Thank you, Island. And Knox Fuse says, "You are wrong, but have to play to find out." That's what that meant. Okay. Yep. I was wrong.
Cross exam.
Thank you, Matt. Now, Corporal Hancock, isn't it true that I'm representing Ms. Gutierrez Reed in this case, and I called you and emailed you in that capacity?
Yes,
And Seth Kinney, on the other hand, is a potential suspect in the case, right?
according to who?
You
The investigator, did you ever look at him as a potential suspect?
Yeah, he was investigated.
okay then?
So that's what I'm asking you. Do you normally talk to potential suspects that many times in a case?
I don't think there's a limit to how much we talk to them.
With regard to the barrel obstruction, you looked at, you did that. You're not an expert in inspecting firearms.
No.
And you said you're fairly proficient, but you don't know, for example, the tools that are used. You didn't have a tool with you?
No, that was just by eye.
Okay. So you just did kind of a casual attempt, but you're not an expert at doing that, are you?
I tried to replicate the way that was said that the barrel checks were done.
Well, you didn't have the tool. You just said that.
Correct.
And did you do this outside?
It was done inside.
Yeah. And are you aware the light is quite a bit different when you do it outside?
Speaking of lights, judging by the shine on his forehead, chat, how many lights are there in the courtroom? The correct answer is
There are 4 lights.
Correct.
So you said even doing it inside under less favorable lighting conditions, you were still able to see some light coming through it, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't replicate it outside, did you?
No, that's why I used a light source.
Okay. And you knew this was being done outside on the rest side.
I would assume so, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was done inside as well.
Well, you don't know that.
Correct.
So you're assuming. So your demonstration did not.
wait, Danny played that clip too? Danny, don't steal my thing, girl. Danny, I didn't see Danny do it. That's my thing. I've been doing that for ages. Not even at this trial. I've been doing this way before the Danny. I hope Danny didn't do it. I will be severely disappointed in Danny if she stole my thing.
Repeat the same conditions either. They were done on the rest side, did it?
Again, I can't say the exact way that it was done on rest.
Okay.
Still called Mike Primo.
Vince Clortho with a $3 super sticker. I'll be back, it says. Thank you so much. All right. I just automatically, I don't know who this guy is. Again, no spoilers. I know nothing about this guy. I don't know who he is. I just automatically don't like the guy. There's something weird about him. All righty.
You swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, have a seat talking to the microphone. Do you need any water?
Good afternoon, sir. Would you state your full name for the record, please?
Good afternoon. Michael Allen Primo.
Emo?
Mr. Primo, how are you currently employed?
Now I like him
I am
even
employed
less.
through a company called Primo Forensics, where I am a partner. The firm specializes in the analysis of digital multimedia evidence, so audio recordings, video recordings, and image recordings used in litigation.
Can you summarize for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury your education and background and experience in this field?
Sure. So I began my education
Weird.
training with the University of Lawrence Technological University in Southfield, Michigan. I obtained a bachelor's in audio engineering technology. From there, I started getting training from LEVA, which is the Law Enforcement and Emergency Services Video Association. I pursued LEVA training 1 through 4 and became a certified forensics video technician. I've also received training in the products for image and video enhancement through one of the popular vendors is Amped, as well as Input-Ace, formerly known as Axon Investigate. I've also received training from Leica in the analysis and use of 3D laser scanning technology, Middx Forensics, which is another forensic tool used to authenticate multimedia evidence. And I think that covers it.
Do you belong to any professional or scientific organizations?
I do. I'm currently a member of SWIGD, which is the Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence. They're an organization that generates best practices in digital multimedia forensics, as well as digital forensics. So audio forensics, video forensics, image forensics, computer forensics, which includes cell phone forensics. And then they also have a quality committee that handles the quality control for digital forensics. I'm currently serving as the video chair with the video committee. I'm also a member of the Audio Engineering Society, the International Association for Identification, and LEVA.
Okay.
And sir, can you, how long have you been in this field?
I've been practicing for a little over 10 years now.
And during that time, who have some of your clients been or parties that you've assisted?
So I've worked for both sides of the court on criminal as well as civil cases. So both the defense as well as the plaintiff for civil cases, and for criminal cases, the prosecution and the defense. I've contracted for the DOD, the DOJ, the FBI, the FDA, and several attorney general's offices. So a lot of attorneys.
And specifically, have you been qualified as an expert in the areas of audio or video and image forensics?
Yes, I have.
How many times have you been qualified as an expert in those areas?
I have given testimony as an expert a little over a dozen times in various courts throughout the United States. And then I've also provided deposition testimony, probably about the same, maybe a little more.
Your Honor, I would ask the court to recognize Mr. Primo as an expert in the areas of audio, video, and image forensics.
All right, so you are recognized as an audio, video, image forensics expert.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me okay? I feel like I'm not talking directly into the microphone. That's a little better.
I feel you're not talking. What do you?
Okay.
All right, we need the bobs. We definitely need the bobs here. We need the bobs here to ask, what exactly would you say you do here? What does he do?
Good to know.
How did you become involved in this case?
We were contacted initially to examine several sources of digital images that were captured from a variety of devices by Ms. Morrissey.
And did you prepare a report?
Yes, I did.
And was your work peer reviewed?
Yes, my work was technically peer reviewed by a colleague of similar qualifications.
And is that what peer review means? You give it to someone else in the field and they double check your work?
That's correct. To ensure the accuracy of the application of the methodology, as well as the opinions offered, it's recommended that reports are technically peer reviewed by a colleague that has similar qualifications.
Okay. I'm going to show you some exhibits. We're going to get ourselves set up.
No, so you guys are saying that this is super skippable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, see, this is what I'm curious about. I don't, is this guy like Photoshop guy? I mean, is this guy going to be going, oh, I looked at the metadata and this was the date this picture was taken? Why would this guy be your last witness? You want to finish strong.
Mr. Bowles, you want to come up here and have a look? Let's hold off on that one for just a second.
No, I'm not going to skip it, Mama Soros. Don't worry about that. All right. Well, let's.
All right. Mr. Primo, I am showing you what is already admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 118. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And is this an image that I provided you to do some enhancement on?
It appears so, yes.
And is there a particular part of this image that you were asked to enhance or clarify?
Yes, so the area specific.
George, will you show him how he can touch and clear?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're going to be showing how to binger this. Pinch and zoom. Pinch and zoom.
So the arrow indicates the section of the image that was the focus of the request, which appears to be some sort of ammunition for enhancement as well as enlargement of the image.
Okay, I'm going to show you what I have marked as State's Exhibit 178, and I would ask the court to admit it, and I would ask for permission to publish.
State 178 is admitted, you may publish.
Mr. Primo, can you explain to the jury what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 178?
Sure. So the tool that was used primarily throughout the course of the investigation.
This picture is hocus pocus out of focus.
Is a audio or an image and video analysis tool, not audio analysis, with which when you bring the image into the tool, it performs a non-destructive workflow that allows us to clarify or identify specific regions of the imagery, which is shown on the right-hand side of the screen as the clarified identification for the version that was enhanced. Clarification and enhancement kind of are synonymous with
Okay. I would be doing a Rittenhouse objection right about now. Explain what the hell you did to these pictures. Explain what you did to enhance it. How does it do it? Again, the old Rittenhousing, does it add pixels? Does it, how does it do this? Are you adding things that weren't there? Are you changing things that weren't there? Are you changing aspects? What are you doing here? I would be all over this.
With the legal admissibility. The image on the left is a specific filter arrangement in the tool that allows us to compare what was originally cropped or selected and then what was clarified, what processes were applied. So we can see, in accordance with best practices, what exactly happened between the two, two sections that were cropped.
All right, I'll give him a benefit. It's coming.
So when you attempted to clarify the image, is there a reason that you weren't able to make it less blurry?
So I applied a de-blur, several de-blurring processes to try to...
Wait, he's going to be clarifying that blurry as fuck picture? Is that what he's going to be enhancing and clarifying? That blurry as fuck picture we just saw? Oh, dear.
Clear up that blurriness that you're seeing in the image. And they were unsuccessful at being able to accurately make it so that it was perfectly in focus again. So there were likely a number of reasons as to why that portion of the imagery became blurry. So light level adjustments were applied. If memory serves, sharpening, which improves the edge detail against different edges. And then, of course, enlargement or resizing of the image.
And sir, the fact that this portion of the image that I asked you to take a close look at, the fact that that is in the background of the photo, how does that affect things?
What on earth?
Yeah, if I go back to is the ammunition in the foreground of the photo or the background?
It's in the background, yes.
How does that affect whether it's blurry or not? If it
Where's
does?
the ammunition?
It doesn't necessarily affect it from a clarification perspective. It wasn't so far out of blur that...
Where's the ammunition? I think you're seeing things. I don't see no ammunition. What's going on here?
It doesn't necessarily affect it from a clarification perspective. It wasn't so far out of blur that I would consider it unreliable to make determinations from. You can still see a lot of information in that background. It wasn't like those objects were several hundred feet or even further away from the focus of the camera. But that being further back in the scene does complicate our ability to de-blur it effectively.
De-blur
and is that because they are blurry in the original image?
Just like Mitch Hedberg, Bigfoot is scary because Bigfoot is blurry. There's a big blurry monster running around in the woods.
Yes, they're out of focus on some level, yes.
All right. I'm going to go back to State's Exhibit 178. Just by looking at the images, are you able to, do you notice
he's
different colors of metal in the center
wow,
of
wow.
the ammunition?
Excuse me. That is clarified? All right, let me move my face out of the way here. That is clarified. What the fuck is clarified about that? They just saturated it. Okay, there's a little sharper edge over here than there is over here. What? Just hang on. Nope, still can't see a fucking thing. What on earth are we looking at? This is a clarified picture.
I do, yes.
What are those colors?
The colors appear to be visually dissimilar in terms of color as well as light. The area depicted here as an...
You turned up the saturation.
My understanding is that it's some sort of primer of that ammunition component is a darker region than the area that's depicted by this arrow on the right, which is brighter.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'm so lost.
And I'm showing you what is already in evidence as State's Exhibit 162, where you provided this image for clarification and forensic work.
Yes, I was.
And was there a particular part of this image that I asked you to focus on?
Her lips.
Yes. So the section identified by the arrow here
Her crotch.
is the section of the screen that was of interest for clarification, so enhancement, as well as resizing or enlargement. Of that
Don't
image.
enlarge her crotch.
And were you able to
Enhancement,
enlarge
maybe.
and clarify that image?
Yes, that section of the image was suitable for clarification, and then exhibits were generated, enlarged, in the compare and original format that we saw earlier, where it's the side-by-side, as well as a picture-in-picture style within the tool amplify.
How do you know whether or not the image is appropriate for clarification?
There are several components that we evaluate when we receive the images. Things like, are the objects high enough resolution or pixels? So every picture is made up of lots of little squares that are pixels. And if the resolution of that picture is limited, then the enlargement process could produce inaccurate results for clarifying or making.
What are you talking about?
In addition, the position of those objects within the scene, the light level of that scene. So is the image too dark that we can't actually restore or enhance those sections to make them more visible to the human eye? As well as things like compression, image compression or data compression, which can reduce.
This mofo testifies for 45 more minutes. Can I borrow Alec Baldwin's gun for just a minute, please?
The amount of information that was originally captured by the device or introduce information that wasn't originally there. So we evaluate all of these components prior to engaging with an enhancement and applying that enhancement methodology, which was ultimately reported back to Ms. Morrissey prior to beginning.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to show you what I have marked as State's Exhibit, is it 176? Your Honor, for the record, Mr. Bowles does not have an objection to any of these exhibits. So I would ask that 176 be admitted into evidence and obviously for publishing.
176 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Primo, what are we looking at here?
This is a clarified exhibit that depicts that region of interest, which is demonstrated in the lower right-hand corner, that has been enhanced using sharpness, light level adjustments, as well as it's a picture-in-picture style, but a zoom, if you will, of the.
I can do this on my phone. One, I don't think it's proper, but two, I can do this on my phone. Like easily. What is even happening here? Vince Clortho, could a Korean lens guy make one to clear it too? I'm so confused. What's happening? DCV Titan, thank you so much for the $2. Taxpayer dollars at work, everyone. Yeah. Bro's getting paid for this.
The area of interest, which is the ammunition in it appears to be some sort of container.
Thank you.
Did they pay him like with
177.
Big Mac
I'd
coupons?
like to move it into evidence and publish it.
No objection, Your Honor.
177 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Primo, can you describe what we're looking at here?
This is a demonstrative exhibit that shows the original frame picture that was processed or clarified on the left-hand side of the screen.
Oh, fuck
which
right
has
off.
been, if memory serves, rotated slightly so that we can better see it within this exhibit.
No, seriously,
Light
just
level adjustments, so
just
shadow
fuck
highlight
off.
Movements, sharpening, and then enlargement of the pixel region. So that's the original version, and then on the right-hand side, all of those processes were applied, a side-by-side exhibit.
Are you able to see, just by using your eyes, a slight difference in the color of the primers of the ammunition on the top area of that styrofoam insert and the ammunition here in this lower section?
Yes. So these two things that we're evaluating are visually dissimilar.
It could totally be the way the light is reflecting off the brass in the top right corner.
In terms of light and color.
Because you
And
fucked with the light
while
and
You
color.
have testified that you can see the difference. Are there some things that you can do in order to verify that that they are actually different colors?
There are some tests that we can apply to analyze that information on a deeper level, which is at its core evaluating how the technology works. So in this case, it was some sort of Apple device, iOS device, and whether or not that information that was being collected by the
Some
electronics within that
sort
device
of Apple device?
was being accurately communicated to that digital format. So there's a test that we applied throughout the analysis. On this particular.
See, I want to make like a love child of Nicolas Cage and Rekieta, but I can't fuck up their names because if I swap their names, it's still Nick Rekieta. Cage Rekieta. Damn it. You can't make a name game with somebody with two people that have the same goddamn first name.
Particular image, I was not confident in my ability to do so.
To verify it.
Correct. To verify that those tonal values, those color and lumen values are in fact dissimilar.
So just to be clear, your testimony is you can see the difference, but you are not able to digitally verify it.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's switch over for a video. And of course, unfortunately, that requires me to change devices. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, did he clarify a video too? All right, come on, AV Chad.
What I'd like to play what has been marked as States Exhibit 187.
Yep,
Your Honor,
Doggo's
the
chewing a bone
foundation for
behind
these
the
videos was laid by the gentleman from Production Outfitters, and I would ask for permission to publish. Sorry, 187.
All right, 187 is admitted. You may publish.
Sir, were you asked to review a couple of videos and take those videos and enhance still frames within the videos?
Yes. I
Oh,
think it
God.
was, memory serves more than a couple, but yes.
Okay.
Whoa, sorry.
This is States Exhibit 187. Do you recognize this video?
I do, yes.
And is this one of the videos that you digitally enhanced for me?
That is correct.
You know, and quite frankly, I understand that we can't hear it, but whatever is being said is not relevant. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the audio.
Well, how do you know? Maybe I'm going to kill that bitch. I'm going
And
to put live
what
rounds in
specifically
here.
Were you asked to do with regard to this video? What was I asking you to look for and try to enhance?
The pixel regions are the areas depicting the ammunition within what's my understanding is a bandolier.
Oh, Jesus
Baldwin's
H.
attempt
Christ.
to,
No way.
several still images were extracted from the video recording for clarity.
No way.
And can you see the ammunition with the primer side of the ammunition facing the camera in this still frame?
That is correct.
Would this be an example of some of the still frames that you collected from this video at my request?
I would have to examine the specific video image numbers, but it was in this range that it becomes most visible. I'm uncertain if it's this exact video image. Every video image in a video recording is marked with a frame number, so we count them. We can count them in a linear fashion. I would have to examine the project to know if definitively if it was this video image, but it was in this series of time.
It was one of these still frames in this video,
Correct.
and perhaps more than one.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I am going to
Pull something out of my
play
ass.
for you States Exhibit 188. Same issue, Your Honor. Foundation was laid by Production Outfitters, and I would like to move it into evidence and ask permission to publish.
States 188 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Primo, were you asked to do basically the same thing with this video?
That is correct.
When the camera was zoomed in here at the beginning, were you able to collect some still frames of the ammunition in that holster?
That is correct.
All right. Because we have to switch devices, I'm going to show you another video from a different time frame.
Okay.
And then we'll move back to the.
What, do they have a
images.
laptop for
So
each
I'm going to show you
video?
what is already in evidence as States Exhibit 164. Do you recognize this video?
I do. Yes.
Is this another video that you were asked to conduct a forensic analysis on?
So this video, the way that this device works is actually recording several pictures. And the tool that allows us to interpret those images plays them back in rapid succession, giving the effect that it's a video. This is a product of that proprietary tool from that particular vendor of the camera. But in answer to your question, yes, it is a video, but in its raw format, there are actually multiple pictures.
And what kind of a camera is this? Do you remember what it's called?
This
A
is
movie
an ARRI
camera.
Alexa Mini, if memory serves.
And in terms of good cameras, bad cameras, sophisticated cameras, simple cameras, where does this camera fall?
The lay interpretation is
Waiting
it's kind of
for
like
the
Lamborghini
camera to
It's a very
fall.
high-end tool in comparison to other devices.
All right, thank you, sir. Can you see the ammunition there on the left-hand side?
No,
Yes, I
because
don't know for a fact that it is ammunition, but it's my understanding that those are casings of some sort. But yes, that's
Right.
what it appears to be.
Okay. And is it somewhere in this area where you were able to isolate some still frames? And I'll go ahead and play it for you there.
That is correct. In preparation for my report from my investigation, 4 instances, 4 images were extracted from the tool in a raw RGB TIFF format. In preparation for testimony, additional images were extracted for review.
Okay, it's time for a debunking. Island, the woman behind Hannah is not Bull's wife. Is that Bull's wife? Are we sure that's Bull's wife? Because we thought the Amy Winehouse paralegal was his wife at one point. Do we know? Are we sure that's his wife? I don't want to be wrong again. Okay, Island says yes, she's sure. It does look more like his wife than Amy Winehouse chick does. They look similar. Yes, they do. Why is there a guy riding up and down my street on a really loud scooter at 1:30 in the morning?
79 through 186 is admitted. You may publish.
Thank you. Mr. Primo, I'm showing you what's
The guy standing next to her is AV Chad. He's their IT guy. He's their audio video guy, and his name is Chad.
marked as States Exhibit 179. Can you describe to us what we're looking at here?
This is frame 237 from one of the two of the digital video files that we saw that didn't have audio playback. That frame on the left-hand side of the screen is what's been cropped as the area of focus.
And let me stop you real quick. As a point of clarification, I showed you two videos of Mr. Baldwin putting on his bandolier, and then there was another video of Mr. Baldwin with a young man. Do you remember those?
Yes, the two with the putting on the bandolier. That's what I was referring to. Yes.
Oh, their monitor isn't working. Sorry.
Chaos Coordinator says meth delivery, Jeff. Was that delivered by Methter McFeely, the speedy delivery guy? Speedy delivery guy? Never mind. Oh, Mr. Rogers humor. Sorry. All right, let's get on with it. This is so stupid. Why in the name of God would you put this guy on as your last witness?
Is it? We can try to do it with one monitor if they have difficulty fixing it. Is it possible?
Yes, Saints and Makers.
We know what these
Yes,
look like.
me. Really, I did that. Prosecutor looks exasperated. She's like, "Oh God, can't anything work right?" The prosecution said nothing but audio video troubles from literally before the trial began. So I want to see if the defense during their very brief case, which I believe is just going to be tomorrow and today, maybe even today, I don't know. They're expecting closing arguments to start on Thursday morning. So maybe 2 days or only 1 day for the defense. We'll just have to see. But I want to see if they work the audio video better.
Have to come up. He went to get water for the jurors. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me stop for just a moment. Mr. Primo, the first set of images that we were looking at with the styrofoam insert sitting on a person's leg and the ammunition in the background that was blurry, were you able to determine the dates that those images were taken?
Yes, the examination of the metadata, which is data about data from the photos, was evaluated in as a part of the enhancement process.
And what was the date?
The date that the metadata interpretation tool is reporting as the date time the original image was captured is October 10th, 2021 at approximately 9 a.m. 42:11 seconds.
Okay. And just to be clear,
Just to be clear, do
videos
you
that
give
we
a
showed you
shit?
of
I
Mr.
don't.
Baldwin, putting on his bandolier, were you able to determine the date of those?
I did not evaluate the date time created information from those.
Okay.
videos, no.
But the jury can rely on the testimony of other witnesses for the appropriate dates for that. And then we'll get to the next one in a moment. So let's go ahead and begin again. States Exhibit 179, what are we looking at here?
This is a comparison of the specific region that was cropped demonstrating the bandolier and the ammunition. Frame 237, I don't recall which video exhibit this came from. But as you can see here on the left, this is the original information that does not have any clarification application of any clarification to it. The image on the right is a clarified version that uses resizing of that section to make it larger, light level adjustments, shadow and highlights.
Make it larger. That means that means adding pixels. That means changing the nature of the picture, putting shit that was not in there in there. I'm still a no-go for that. It wasn't good. It wasn't acceptable during Rittenhouse. It's not acceptable now in my book.
Shadows, midtones, and highlights, and sharpening.
And sir, in both images, but in particular in the clarified image on the right, are you able to determine that one of the supposed pieces of ammunition seems to have a silver coloring in the center?
Visually, yes. Objectively, through that deeper methodology that I talked about, no, we did not apply that method for verification.
Okay, let's move to State's Exhibit 180. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is another instance, video image 218 from the video exhibit that was isolated. The section on the left-hand side that was cropped is from the original video image. The section on the right was clarified and enlarged. Similar processes were applied.
And in this image, when we compare it to the previous image, that being State's Exhibit 179, do you see that change in color, that silver type color, in the same place in both images? And when I mean in the same place, on the same piece of ammunition, or rather where the ammunition is located?
That is correct. Yes, it's a lighter tonal value or representation, which is dissimilar than the other tonal values in chroma and luma, light and color. Here's dissimilar.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 181. Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is frame 237. Similar processes were applied. The image on the left-hand side is the original that has not been resized from the video recording. The image on the right is the clarified version that has been resized, enhancement processes applied. And then the entire image was actually resized, I don't think I mentioned this, to format the screen that you're looking at in an HD resolution. So had we not performed that, it would have been a little bit smaller on the screen, because this section was the smallest that we enhanced, smallest that I enhanced, because the resolution, the picture size from these videos was much smaller than the RE, which is a very high resolution, and even the photos from the iOS devices, the iPhones that were captured.
Okay. State's Exhibit 182. Tell us what this is.
This is another representation of frame 218. So when the images were enlarged, two different resizing methods were used to verify that the information that was being enlarged was accurately being done so and wasn't an inaccurate representation when it was made larger. This appears to be the other enhancement version. As you can see, it's kind of like more blocky, pixely, if that's a forensic term, on the right-hand side when it was enlarged.
And in all of the images that we've looked at in this group of images, 179 through 182, do you see the lighter colored primer in the same position, that being what appears to be the third piece of ammunition from the top?
That is correct.
State's Exhibit 183, what's this?
This is frame 175. This is from the other video recording because there's a clear indication of the front of the ammunition. I'm considering the front to be where the projectile is located. In which case, this exhibit on the left is the original section of the video image that was selected, cropped, enlarged. And the clarified version that has clarified processes applied. One particular process that wasn't included on the others is a process called deep blurring. So kind of refocusing that image that we're seeing so it's clear.
Can you see what appears to be that same silver coloring in the piece of ammunition that's third from the top?
It's more difficult to see in this version, but there are slight, the pixel information is there. Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 184, same question.
Yes.
Same to everything.
The dissimilar, yes. So the section on the left is the isolated version, clarified version on the right that has been resized, and there is a dissimilar tonal value visibly between those. Specifically, we examined the two ammunition that were side by side.
Okay, thank you. State's Exhibit 185, same thing, just different frame?
That is correct.
State's Exhibit 186, same thing, different frame?
This is another version of an alternate resizing algorithm that was used to make the image bigger for verification that no additional information was added to the recording that rendered determinations inaccurate.
Whoa! That's for the jury to determine. That's not for him to say we didn't do anything that changed the perception of the video. That's for the jury to determine. The jury will determine whether or not he fucked with it to the point that it's useless. Now,
let's move to the images that you were able to analyze from the RE video.
All right, while doing that, Jill M's, I don't want to get too far away from this. You can take a great photo and lower the IDP to make it more pixelized. Anyone can do this. So was this a tactic? I don't know why they're doing this to show that there was some silver primers, and those silver primers mean that it was a live round, which they've already said that they get other rounds from Europe that have silver primers, but you know, whatever. This is so dumb.
I'm not going to play the video on this device because it will cause the system to crash. So I'm going to move to State's Exhibit 189. I would like to have 189 entered into evidence and permission to publish.
It's 189 video.
No, 189 is the digital image that he created from the video.
Okay, okay.
Page 189 submitted, you may publish.
All right, Mr. Primo, what are we looking at here? And if you recall, was there a date associated with the video from the RE?
May I have a moment to look at my report?
Certainly.
Thank you.
He needs a moment.
The metadata from the RE Raw proprietary tool. It's a program that allows us to examine the images captured directly from the RE camera in their raw format. Is reporting a date of October the 18th, 2021. This creation time is reporting 5:36 and 49 seconds.
Does that tell you that that's the exact date that the image was recorded on the camera?
In accordance with the data that the camera was communicating to the file, yes.
Okay. And what are you able to see in terms of this same pattern that we're looking for with regard to silver-colored centers of what appears to be ammunition?
I don't understand the question.
Well, let me back up. What are we looking at here? Or do we have an original and a clarified?
Yes, so the image on the left is a selection of that region of the, my understanding is it's a bandolier or storage of some sort of those ammunition.
Yep, it's worldwide.
Is the clarified or enhanced.
Facebook and Instagram are down here too.
And are you able to see, just from looking at the photo, that the top two items appear to have silver centers where the last four appear to have a different color center?
They appear to be lighter in tonal values. I don't know if I can classify them as silver, but
Okay, understood. I'm sorry.
It appears to be, if I was asked what material that looks like, it looks like silver, but whether or not it actually is, I haven't been able to verify that. But yes, visually dissimilar.
And let me ask you, in terms of the date from the RE camera, does a date and time have to be set on the camera properly in order for you to receive the proper information through the metadata for the date of the recording?
That is how most camera devices work. I don't recall specifically if the RE was set, this particular RE by the operator, but that's common for digital cameras like the RE.
And were you, sir, able to do a tonal value analysis on this?
Yes, I was.
And again, the tonal value analysis is just a way of doing an additional verification. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what were the results of your tonal value analysis?
So you applied sharpen filter. You went to fucking
with respect
Snapchat
to
and you
the
applied a
images,
sharpen filter.
There were no artifacts due to compression. These images were captured in a raw format, which means when the light information hits the camera's components, which is called a sensor, it's going to capture that information in raw and communicate that to a digital file with which it's not going to make determinations about what do we take away or what do we add to make this file smaller. An interpretation of that process was done using a filter within the AMP5 tool called channel selector. And that evaluates the specific RGB color spaces that those tonal values live essentially in that raw format. And through an evaluation of the green channel, which is the most sensitive to the human eye, there is a distinct dissimilarity in the luma and chrominance values between those two sections. And when these images were clarified, enhanced, 2 of the 4 images that I examined, through adding of light to make the images brighter, this section, the middle section of that piece of ammunition, i.e. the primer, became overexposed, which means it had brighter values than other primers throughout that picture. And the tool reported that those values were going beyond the technology's ability to capture it. So what does that mean? It means that that section was documented by that device brighter than the other primers throughout the picture.
Would you say that the use of the tonal value analysis did in fact verify that? It verified that it is brighter than the others?
That is correct.
Did it verify it or did it just make it look that way? Did it spit out a verification certificate
And
of some
State's
sort?
Exhibit 190, you would ask the court to move this into evidence and publish.
Case 190 is admitted. You may publish.
Mr. Primo, what are we looking at here?
This is a exhibit that demonstrates the selected area, approximate selected area as the other images we saw, but it's not in the compare original format. It's just a picture-in-picture that is clarified. Enhanced.
All right, thank you, sir. Were you also asked to perform a forensic analysis on still frames from a body-worn camera worn by a police officer?
That is correct.
Oh, great. He's
And for the
messing with
record,
an already
just so that
potato
the jury is
cam.
aware, the body-worn camera that Mr. Primo analyzed was State's Exhibit 2. I'm not going to play it because you already have it and we've already watched it. I will, however, pull up State's Exhibit 192 and ask the court to admit 192. And
Yes,
publish it.
it's Nick Rekieta and Nicolas Cage's Love's Child.
You may publish.
Mr. Primo, what are we looking at here?
This is a video image that was selected from the BWC recording. I don't recall from the file title which particular frame this was, but it's a picture-in-picture process. Using Annotate, we can select that portion of the screen and enlarge it, resize
It's
it.
like Killdozer's coming out
Additional
somewhere
enhancement
here.
processes, including adjustments to the lighting, sharpening as well. So it's an enhanced version of that frame with a picture-in-picture effect.
And the label of that box still appears to be pretty blurry and not legible. Were you not able to clarify it any more than that?
That is correct.
Okay.
The compression artifacts as a result of the spatial resolution, the video quality was insufficient to enhance to make that kind of identification.
And when you say the video quality was insufficient, is there a considerable difference between the quality of a police officer's body-worn camera, this type of camera in particular, and a camera such as the RE camera that was being used on the set of Rust?
Yes, a body-worn camera, although effective, its design is to surveil. It's a surveillance camera that's worn by an officer, so they record for long periods of time. Significant differences in intended use between a cinematography camera and a body-worn camera.
And finally, let's have a look at State's Exhibit 191. Looks like these aren't too different, but go ahead and tell us what you did.
This is the
There is
original
a show
information that was
about
selected
Killdozer on
enhancement
Netflix,
tool
I
on the
believe.
left-hand side.
I believe
and
it was
the
on
original
Netflix,
photo
I
was
saw.
applied to demonstrate the clarified version with processes to enhance it.
And why does it appear that there is actually less detail in terms of the label on the box in the clarified image as opposed to the original image? Let me ask you this. When you clarify an image, do you brighten it?
Yes, it's one of the processes to brighten it. If memory serves, when I was trying to enhance for the request was to examine any identifiers on the box, not specifically that little 2 lines of some sort of information, but to see if there were any identifiers anywhere on that container. So the light was improved to be able to examine that.
Was it
Can
improved?
brightening an image
Really?
actually reduce some of the detail in the image?
It can, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Oh my Lord. What?
I'll pass the witness.
What the shit was that? We've already had testimony that there was there were rounds with silver primers in the what do you want to call it, the belts or the bandoliers or whatever. We already had testimony to that, and whatever the hell that was was just ridiculous. Here's some really blurry pictures. Here's some we dicked around with the saturation. Therefore, Hannah did it. What? You have got to be shitting me. Why would this be your last witness? Why? I'll give her that she thinks that Seth's testimony is more powerful, more important than Joel Sousa's, which I totally disagree with. But if you think that's the case, finish with your superstar. Finish with your superhero. What the shit was that? Island, why would that be like? Well, why would any of these questions have been any of the questions? Why would this guy be here? That wasn't like you just magically cleared it up. Blurry pictures looked blurry, just different colors. Oh.
Cross-exam.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Mr. Primo, how much were you paid for your work in this case and your report?
The firm Primo Forensics was compensated a value somewhere in the 10,000 range.
Oh, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
$10,000 for doing that? $10,000. 10,000 United States dollars for boosting the saturation up about 3% on a few pictures. Yeah, that look on his face is exactly how he should feel about getting $10,000 for this. That's like that's a shit-eating grin. I got 10 grand of the taxpayers' money for that bullshit. Oh my God. No. No, 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 no. $10,000.
Run! It's Godzilla!
I give up. I give up. Wow. I'm clearly in the wrong line of business. That took him about 12 minutes. No, seriously, all acting and hyperbole and look at the wacky YouTube streamer guy antics. This guy can just fuck right off. $10,000. I would see. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I really can't believe it either. That looks like, yeah, right. Got one over on there. Yeah, I can't believe it either. Oh my Lord. If there's anybody from New Mexico here, specifically the Santa Fe area, complain to your government that this shit is happening. Play them that little bit and go, $10,000. All right. That is the most ridiculous thing I have heard this entire trial. Straight up. That right there is the most ridiculous thing I've heard this entire trial.
And in the process that you were hired to do, you take images like a picture, or you extract one from media, and then you use tools to try to clarify them. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier in your testimony, there's certain things that can cause distortion. I think you said if something's low resolution. Is that right?
Albuquerque in the house.
Saying specifically distortion.
Okay. Yeah. Just tell me, what are some of the things that can cause you not to be able to get that clarification?
I don't understand the question.
In some of the images,
Well,
at the end,
Mr. Bowles, would you please enhance and clarify the question? Maybe then he could understand it. Pass your question through whatever bullshit filter he used.
the ones we couldn't see anything. It didn't clarify it, so we couldn't see what was on the box. What prevents that? The resolution originally, or why can't you get that?
The resolution does play a factor in that, as well as the compression level. So at what point the camera is limiting information to that digital video file. Those are two components, yes.
Okay. You also said in some of the pictures you could not verify tonal differences. And if I say it wrong, just tell me. But you did a verification process and you couldn't confirm?
That is correct. I was not confident to apply that particular methodology because there were so many unknown variables.
Okay. So given that there's so many unknown variables, some of them you can say that there were tonal differences, like color differences. Some of them you can't. Is that fair?
I don't understand the question.
Do you understand anything?
You can't be confident that there are tonal differences? Some of them that you looked at, is that what you said?
I would have to evaluate the particular image
Okay.
to answer that question. Maybe we can show one of them.
Sure. Yeah, there were some of them you said I couldn't verify. And we can go back to the number of that. But I'm just trying to get that. Basically, what you did was you clarified and enhanced pictures. And some of them you can tell us the colors are different. Some of them you can't. Is that right?
That is fair to say that the dissimilarities could not be verified in terms of how that technology was actually working when it captured those values. Yes.
And your technology has got to be much more sophisticated. But it's like, you're familiar with iPhones, people can use filters, they can use edits, that kind of thing.
I'm familiar, yes.
Okay, but yours, I mean, basically, you must be using a much more sophisticated tool, correct?
It's a peer reviewable tool that allows us to apply methodology that is widely.
Intercourse your peer reviewer. This is not Blade Runner, seriously, enhance, center, bring to the front shit. This is just nonsense. This is just nonsense. And I hate when people say the same thing twice, but seriously, I'll say it 3 times. This is just nonsense.
Accepted. So it's repeatable.
If you're given a shit picture, there's nothing legitimate you can do to make that a better picture. You can make things worse, but when you're doing things like enhancing and you're building up the structure or the clarity of things, you are changing the nature of the photograph. It's not when you finish doing your little voodoo proprietary magic, it is not the same picture you started with. It's a different picture. It's not the same picture. It's not like a film camera where you go into the dark room and you enlarge it and you hope they used a sufficiently high quality film that you can do it without pixel. I guess what was the film term for pixelating? You know what I mean? Without blurring it anymore. The resolution is higher. Come on, this is crap. Oh, design. Wait, who said that? Where'd he go? Oh, it was Shadow Foss going old school. He could pass for Father Sarducci. That's back when Saturday Night Live was funny. The Reverend Guido Sarducci.
It's verifiable. It can be evaluated by people of similar qualifications to ensure.
I miss Guido. Where's Guido Sarducci when you need him?
The information that's contained within them, I would say it's relative.
Grain, that's the word I was looking for.
What we're comparing it to.
Not too grainy.
To an iPhone?
To a filter.
Oh, to a filter.
I think iPhone filter is what you had said.
Yes, iPhone filter. Yeah.
But yeah, so a one-to-one comparison, we probably have to evaluate which particular filter, but
Okay.
there's no magic in the tool if that's what we're trying to evaluate.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to ask. So it's similar to a filter.
They are filters. That's correct. Yes. Okay. The filters that are being applied.
Okay, thank you.
Damn it, he always stops one question short. So when you apply a filter, you've actually changed the nature of the photograph and made it something different than it was before you applied the filter. Follow-up question. So the picture you have marked as clarified is not the same picture as the original. Those are the last 2 questions you end with.
Redirect.
Yeah, just very briefly. Sir, in the images from the videos of Mr. Baldwin putting on the bandolier, those 2 videos that you extracted images from, the fact that you see the same color difference in the primer of the piece of ammunition that is in the 3rd position from the top, the fact that you are able to see that color difference repeatedly in different frames, is that some indication of reliability that that center primer is actually a different color than the others? Does that make sense?
I think so, yes. So with respect to forensic image video analysis, we're evaluating things from an objective perspective. There are components to that methodology that evaluate context, and they are best practices. I was not asked to evaluate those things with this case. If I understand your question, I think I do. From a contextual perspective, yes, it does, because there are multiple instances across multiple frames with each of the devices that capture digital video files, which means more images than just one, like an iPhone. So yes, contextually, it does demonstrate that. Yes.
Some additional level of reliability.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't have anything else.
Eat my
Thank you.
Thank you.
This game rests.
Okay,
God damn.
So we are going to take our break for the day. I have some court I need to do at 4 o'clock. So,
All right, let's listen to exactly what's happening here. Let me bring it back down to normal speed.
the state is rested, so the defense will go forward. Counsel, please approach for a minute.
Okay.
All right, so tomorrow morning, we're going to have a couple of housekeeping matters. So you all should be downstairs at 10.
Okay, so it is the jury is coming in at 10. The lawyers are going to be there before 10. And that's when they're going to do all of their motions, you know, the motions to dismiss and things like that. So.
Not 8:30, 10, okay? So I see that's good news for a fair amount of you. All right, so please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. Don't do any research about the Rust Productions or the movie set, et cetera, and the trial. So downstairs at 10, okay? All right. Did I say the part, oh, don't talk among yourselves? Okay, very good, thank you.
Ugh.
All rise.
Got the dog snoring over here. I envy you, little pig dog. All right, are they going to tell the lawyers to be there at a different time? Nope. All right. Well, that's ain't that just a thing? Let me bring up today's video. Share screen. Day 9 live. Why is it buffering? Let's do a refresh. All right, and then put it down here so it's out of the way. There we go. That was dumb. We're not sending you anywhere. We're not sending you anywhere. We're staying right here. It's not lunch break yet. Hey Danielle, yes, the dog is snoring quite peacefully. Is that a dog snoring or is Godzilla attacking another Asian country again? Yeah, that's a little old. That's one of the little old pig dogs. We're about halfway to. We're exactly halfway to Doggo Cam, but there's a little bit. That's what you're hearing. You're hearing Strawberry snoring there. So, yeah, now we're a little over halfway. Aaron Hack, Jeff, your thoughts on dismissing the tampering charge? I don't feel they've shown enough evidence for that. Well, let's talk about that here in just a quick second. All right, well, let's take these in reverse order. First, Janet Burris, I swear prosecution would have been better with just armor gun expert investigator David Halls, then sit down. You need Joel Souza. Put in Joel Souza should have been their final witness. Absolutely, I would put Joel Souza on as my very last witness. If I had to put Seth on, I would put him on right before Joel. Lancelot, $6.52 with the $5. Had a feeling defense would drop the ball. Seems lawyers can't ask good tech questions. Well, the defense lawyer's been dropping the ball most of the trial. He's not a criminal lawyer by expertise, and it shows. Dang, Strawberry, you're snoring up a storm. And And anyone that's tuning in later, it's a snoring dog, is not me. All right, back to Aaron's question. Aaron Hack, back to your question. Thoughts on dismissing the tampering charge? Here's the problem. This is what I was yelling about earlier. I don't know what the elements of the crime of tampering are. I don't know what constitutes tampering because the prosecution has not told us yet. The judge has not told us yet. I was thinking they were going to try to find a way around it to get Officer Lipfiller to tell us what the elements of the crimes are, but they got shot down, rightfully so. But see, I don't know. Let's assume that tampering, you can fulfill the elements of the tampering charge simply by handing something off to a different person. If that is your standard, then there's sufficient grounds to find her guilty of tampering with that evidence. If tampering is satisfied by just giving it to somebody else. Now, if it has to be changed, altered, or destroyed to meet the definition of tampering, I would say no, not guilty, and it should be dismissed because if again, assuming that it means doing something more than passing it off, you destroying it, mixing it with something, changing it out, whatever. Hannah didn't do that. The hotel lady did. So I think it's going to come down to what the elements of the witness, the evidence tampering is. What are the legal requirements? We don't know because nobody has told us yet. I hate that. I've hated that from minute one of the opening statements. It's been eating at me the entire damn trial. See, this is part of the problem. It's happening to Harper. I think they should be two separate crimes. That's just me. I think they should be handled completely separately from each other. But they're handling it as a single package, so to speak. I.e., she was negligent in passing this off. Yeah, she was negligent in doing her job, and she tampered with evidence that could be used to show she was impaired or something like that. You're right, Jeff. Joel would have been a great emotional closer. Didn't see Seth at all. Ariel says, look it up, Jeff. Jeez. Hey, y'all ain't even paying me minimum wage. I ain't doing this unless I get my lawyer wages. We could look it up. But then again, we would know something that the jury doesn't know. I just know what the negligent manslaughter charges are because I looked those up before the trial, but I don't know what they're. And so if we look them up now, we'll know something that the jury doesn't know. So I'm not going to look it up for that reason. I want you all to be just as frustrated as the jurors are. Boosh says legal vices. I have an issue. What's your issue? I am supposed to be doing delivery and sales. They're abusing me. Well, sorry to hear that. I guess. Yeah. I'm waiting to hear what it is. I do glamour shot session. It's a nice pick. Okay. Don't know how long this is going to go on. Huh. Well, what do we do while we wait? Let's check what's going on here. There is 594 people sitting here, 593 now with me wondering what the hell's going on. Yeah. 461 likes. Everybody get down there and smash that like button while we're doing this. Why not? You literally have nothing else better to do right now than to click that like button. So please do. And if you have subscribed, thank you very much. Please double check to make sure you still are. If you aren't subscribed, just come on, do me a little favor and hit that subscribe button. Let's grow. We started out the day hitting 68,000 subscribers. And already today we're one away from 68,400. Right now we're 68,399. So we picked up 400 subscribers in the past several hours, and that is really awesome. And thank you so much to everybody that subscribed. But let's get at least one more. Let's get us up to the 68,400 mark. I know at least one of you 600 people have not subscribed to the channel. So let's do that. That'd be fun. And it stalls for time. Well, while we try to figure out what's going on. Okay, there we go. 68,400. Don't stop now. Everyone that thinks, should I click or not? Should I click or not? Click it. Come on. Flick it. Flick the subscribe button. Play with the button. Flick it. Flick it. Hey, thank you so much. Casey Robinson, the shaky shooter, just subbed. Thank you, Casey Robinson, the shaky shooter. If only Alec Baldwin had been shaky, perhaps Halyna would still be alive. Bush McFadden says, Legal Vices, the whole production is borked, dude. My issue is Hannah is not the only one guilty of what she's being charged with. That's my issue. Have fun. Oh, I completely agree with you. Alec Baldwin is quite literally a textbook definition of negligent manslaughter. If he walks, this system is completely fucked. There is no reason under the sun that if he goes to trial, he's not found not found guilty. There's no reason for that. He is exactly. I mean, you can, and I would probably, that would be fun to do that if I was the prosecutor. I'd walk them through a negligent manslaughter textbook, so like a criminal law book, and walk them right through it, because it's clear he negligently handled that firearm by putting his finger on the trigger. Forget what the fuck he says. He says he never did that. BS. For putting his hand on the trigger, pointing a gun, which should always be assumed to be loaded, at another human being, with other human being standing right behind the first one, and pulling the damn trigger. Absolutely negligent homicide every day of negligent manslaughter every day of the week. Alec Baldwin must go down. David Hall's already went down. He pled no contest in exchange for a 6-month probation. He's done his time. He's served. He's scot-free, never to be bothered by this again. Hannah, I'm torn about Hannah right now. I really am. I think she should go to jail. I think she should be convicted and go to jail. I think the prosecution has done enough to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she was negligent. But only because she testified so perfectly against herself in that first investigation video of hers. If she would have had a lawyer and not said so many of those things she said, I don't think the prosecution would have had enough to convict. But saying she loaded it, she shook every single round. She shook every single round before breakfast and before lunch and after lunch. She rattled every single round that was in the weapon, and and she clearly didn't, because one was live and one had a hole in the side of it. If she wouldn't have said all of this bullshit she said, I would be questioning. But at the end of the day, she was the state's best witness against her. She was her own worst witness. So I think that she convicted herself. That's the dog snoring, A.L. Braun. We've got, that's one of the dogs that's sitting down here snoring. So yeah, I think she's going to be found guilty by virtue of the testimony she gave against herself under oath during her first police questioning. Let's imagine a world where the jury doesn't think that alone was sufficient. I still am leaning towards a guilty verdict because jurors, by and large, they're good groups of people. They want justice, not for the defendant. They want justice for the victim, which means they want somebody to pay. They want to convict someone. They want someone to face a penalty for the death of someone. The jury should, in principle, again, be biased towards the defendant. They should presume innocence unless proven guilty. But in reality, that's where theory and reality break down. In reality, jurors tend to think, well, if she hadn't done anything wrong, she wouldn't have been arrested. She was arrested, so clearly she did something wrong. She's on trial. If it was a bad arrest, they would have got it worked out before trial. She's on trial for something, so she must be guilty, because prosecutors would never put a known innocent person on trial. That's what a lot of jurors think. Leafy Fifi Foo says she was negligent and a manslaughter happened. Therefore, she has to be found guilty, even though it's shit and there are additional circumstances. Well, the thing is the negligent part of it, and it has to be she did something. She acted negligently in a way that she knew her negligence. She knew or should have known that her negligence would have or were likely to cause the death of somebody else, of the victim. And not doing your job as armorer and making sure the gun is not loaded with live ammunition, that's negligent to me. She knew or should have known that not doing her job was negligent. And she should have or could have known that it would or likely would cause the death of someone, that it could or likely would cause the death of someone by being negligent. So yeah, I think she's toast either way you look at it. Rittenhouse woke a lot of people up, but not everybody. And that's ancient history for someone that doesn't follow LawTube or things like that. Legal Vices, in reality, she loaded the gun proper. Gun changed hands 3 times and Alec Baldwin had the gun, except for Alec Baldwin said she handed it to me. And in her own statement to the police, Hannah said she gave Alec Baldwin the gun. So that's kind of the end. I mean, that's the end of that for me. She said it. Marta Z says, don't get me wrong, I think Hannah takes part in it, but so does everyone else on set. To me, there's too many shenanigans to be sure she was negligent enough to know her action would cause this. Well, she's an armor, and she knows that if she doesn't check all of the weapons, especially if she says she did when she really didn't, that's negligent. And negligently handling a firearm is something that could possibly lead to the death of another human being. So David Halls has already been found guilty. I think Hannah's going to get found guilty. Alec Baldwin sure as shit should be found guilty. And I think that Sarah Zachary should have been charged. I think Seth Kenny probably should have been charged. But I'm torn. I'm really not torn on Seth Kenny. Honestly, I don't think he should have been charged because they found nothing in their investigation to indicate that any of the live rounds came from him. I mean, I want him to be prosecuted because I think he's a douche weasel, but I don't think there's anything there. but I think Sarah should have been. I definitely think Gabrielle Pickles should have been. Pickles should have been charged because she's the one that's telling Hannah to stop wasting time as an armorer, to focus more on props, to stop doing the training sessions, to leave Alec Baldwin alone. She's the one that's telling them that, that's telling Hannah that. I think she should have been charged. It doesn't, something like this where it's negligent homicide, it doesn't mean only one person was responsible. You can have many, many pieces, many people that acted negligently, criminally negligently in a case like this. So yeah, it's not just one person and everybody else gets to skate. Anybody who was negligent to the level of criminal negligence could be found guilty, could be charged and found guilty for this. So I think there should have been more people charged myself. I'm debating what to do here. It's 2:30 a.m. my time. There's no indication that they're going to start court anytime soon. So I think I'm gonna call it a night here in Korea. I said it's 2:30 a.m. I was supposed to get some sleep a few hours sleep before the stream, but I went on Camelot 331, his 24-hour birthday stream, and I spent my time there instead of sleeping. So if I go to sleep now, I can get about 4.5 hours sleep. So I'm going to do that. And we will pick this up tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So here's what's coming up. Let me give you a quick rundown, then we'll send you off somewhere else. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern, we're going to be looking at the What the Hales case. We're watching part 2 of the first hearing in that case. Watch that. That is insane. That's off the hook there. It's insanity. And then immediately after that, at 10 a.m. Eastern, we will pick up here where we left off. And we'll go till the lunch break or whatever happens. And we'll do it again on Thursday. We're expecting the closing arguments to start on Thursday. The jury should have the case by lunchtime. Then it'll be verdict watch. And once we get the verdict, we'll go back to our regularly scheduled life with other streams. And a heads up, a week from this Friday, which is March 15th. March 15th will be the St. Patrick's Day F-It Friday Super Extravaganza. And looking at our subscriber numbers right now, again, let me refresh here. Refreshing. Okay, we're moving northward. We're less than 600 away from 69,000. So not only will it be St. Patrick's Day celebration, the St. Patrick's Day is the 17th, but we'll be celebrating it an F-It Friday St. Patrick's Day extravaganza on Friday the 15th. We might be doing the 69 special. We might be doing the special 69,000 subscriber stream. So don't miss that. We're going to have a huge panel of guests. We're going to sit there. We're going to do shots for money. We're going to get as liquored up as possible and have a great time all around. So put that on your calendar. That'll be starting Friday night Eastern time, probably around 7 p.m. Somewhere around 8 p.m. Eastern time. A week from this Friday will be the F-It Friday, where we say F-It. We grift our little heart out, so we only have to do it once a month. We have a panel of guests. People are already expressing interest in being there. Some invitations will go out tomorrow, and we'll start making a list in the next couple of days. So that'll bring us up to date here for what's happening the next little bit. Now I want to look and see where we can all go. Where do I want to send us? Customization. Redirect. Jody Arias, what the hell's grudge, Megan Fox? Megan Fox and I are watching the DUI guy plus. So Megan and DUI guy are streaming or the same thing watching this. I don't know what's going on. Let's see where we're gonna stand here. I'm confused as to who's doing what. Let's see. DUI guy, what's he doing? All right. He's streaming, and I think Megan is streaming exactly the same thing. I just typed Megan and the movie came up. Yeah, they are doing the What the Hales trial. So what I want to do is send you all over to let's go over to DUI guy. I don't know if I can redirect to DUI guy. Yeah, I can. We're going to send you over to DUI guy, to Larry, to watch some of this craziness that is the What the Hales proceedings. So let's go on over there and see what's happening out there in the world. Then once trial starts, go find your favorite Rust trial streamer and watch them. All right, folks, take care. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern for What the Hales, first hearing part 2, and then at 10 a.m. Eastern for day whatever the hell it is of this trial. Until then, we will see you. Make sure you tell DUI guy, hi, it's a raid from me, Legal Vices. See y'all later. Thank you, mods, for being super moddy and doing your best. Thank you for being here, chat. Thank you so much for the support. Larax, me, Legal Vices, saying bye-bye.